What? Oh, okay. Still got a minute. I'm just looking at that one. Okay.
Seven o'clock. Now you can go.
I'm gonna turn my ringer off now. Right, well, I'll call the August 3rd meeting of the McKinleyville Community Service District Board of Directors to order. So, can we have a roll call?
Director Bender,
Present.
Director Clark Peterson, present. Director Mayo,
Here.
Director Orsini,
Here.
President Couch.
Here. Scott, you want to do the Pledge of Allegiance? Yeah, I got to tell everybody.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So A3 is additions to the agenda. Items may be added to the agenda in accordance with section 54954 for the Government Code, Brown Act, upon a determination by 2/3 of the votes of the body present at the time of the meeting, or if less than 2/3 of the members are present, unanimous of those members present. There's need to take immediate action, and the need for action came to the attention of the McKinleyville Community District after the agenda was posted. Do we have any additions?
Yes.
Dennis had the,
I have an addition I'd like to add. My dear friend, and many of us knew Jerry Gladbaugh, died from a horrible accident recently. Jerry was past president of Aqua and past president of State LAFCO, been in the water industry for 37 years. Just an amazing man. And one of the most horrible things that could happen, to this kind, beautiful human. So if there's no objections from the board, I would like to close tonight's meeting in Jerry's honor.
okay, we don't need to do a motion or anything on that, do we, or?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll just remind me, Dennis.
Thank you.
We do have one other change to the agenda.
Okay,
Item E2, the update on the Mad River project. Mary Burke from CalTrout was going to give that presentation, but she tested positive for COVID. So she is not going to be able to make it, and we will postpone that to the September board meeting.
okay.
Good thing she didn't come. Hopefully she's doing okay.
All right, next on the agenda, let's see. The approval?
So moved.
Second.
Director Bender,
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson. Aye. Director Mayo,
Yes.
Director Orsini,
Yes.
and President Couch.
Yes. Right, closed session discussion. We have no closed session scheduled tonight. Public hearings, we have no public hearings scheduled tonight, so let's get to public comment and written communications. Any person may address the board at this time upon any subject not identified on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the McKinleyville Community Service District. However, any matter that requires action will be referred to staff for report of action at a subsequent committee or board meeting. As to matters on the agenda, an opportunity will be given to address the board or the matter is considered. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Letters should be used for complex issues. Seeing no public comment?
Yeah, we have no written public
No one
comments.
on Zoom wants to?
Nope, and seeing no hands on the.
President Couch, could we see who's you have panelists, only one attendant? Oh, it's Ryan, okay. So it's our attendant, the other one's panelists. Okay. So for all intents and purposes, we don't have any public here.
Just
No, he's a panelist.
just,
No disinterested.
just a thought that crossed my mind, and that you can think about it and direct if you so choose in the future. I think it'd probably be a good idea, Joey, because most of us can't see that as we start our meetings, that maybe you would just enunciate quickly to us who may be online. I think that would be helpful for us. I see that that's not just one person tonight, but sometimes there's several. That would be nice to know.
I can text it to you.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I think that's a violation.
Problem solved.
Is that keto?
No, it ain't. Huh?
Is that a keto tax?
Yeah,
Oh, chicken, Greg, chicken.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Like it should be. Anyway.
That'd be a good question for the Brown-X specialist. Texting, board members texting during the meeting. Yeah, I think it would be kind of like you're not supposed to like slide notes back and forth between each other. Then.
We won't start the tradition
Just
tonight.
a joke.
Okay,
Good idea.
let's go to the consent calendar. Consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial, to be acted upon by the board of directors at one time without the discussion. Any board member and staff member or interested person requests that an item be removed from the consent calendar, it shall be removed so that it may be acted upon separately.
Move approval of the consent calendar.
I'll second that.
You have
Director
anything?
Bender?
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson? Aye. Director Mayo?
Yes.
Director Orsini?
Yes.
President Couch?
Yes. All right, we get to E, continued and new business. Discuss and consider approval of memorandum of understanding with Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District on preliminary feasibility study for extension of the water main to Trinidad Rancheria. Attachment 1, MOU between HBMW and MCSD approved by the HBMW board. And attachment 2, MOU between Humboldt Bay Municipal Water and Inland Community, sort of just with suggested edits and tracked changes. Pat, are you doing this?
Yep, okay, this is me. So as detailed at the January 6, 2021 and March 2nd, 2022 board meetings, the Trinidad Rancheria is looking for an additional source of drinking water to supplement their supply from the city of Trinidad. The Rancheria has been exploring the option of obtaining water from Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District. Humboldt Bay is the regional water wholesaler, and their district boundaries coincides generally with MCSD's boundary to the north. Since they are a water wholesaler, it may be possible for them to obtain a change in point of use from the State Water Resources Control Board to serve the Rancheria. MCSD's service area boundaries end at Dow's Prairie to the north, so we would not be able to sell water directly to the Rancheria without approval from LAFCO to revise our service area boundaries. However, Humboldt Bay may be able to utilize MCSD's system for transferring water to the Rancheria. The MCSD system would then basically serve as an extension of the Humboldt Bay distribution system. The water line would still have to be constructed from the north end of the MCSD system to the Rancheria, but the use of the MCSD system would eliminate the need to construct a line from Humboldt Bay's system in Arcata to the Rancheria. If this alternative is deemed feasible, the retail water contract would be between Humboldt Bay and the Rancheria. However, there would also need to be a contract between Humboldt Bay and MCSD to recoup our costs for the use of our system. At the January 6, 2021 MCSD board meeting, the board approved in concept to participate with Humboldt Bay and the Rancheria to assess the feasibility of utilizing MCSD's water system to provide Humboldt Bay water to the Rancheria. At the March 2nd, 2022 MCSD board meeting, the MCSD board approved to having Humboldt Bay prepare a draft MOU outlining the agreement to work collaboratively on a preliminary feasibility study to review options and costs for such a pipeline. The MCSD board approved of the MOU with the understanding that MCSD would not incur any costs associated with the feasibility study, and Humboldt Bay or the Rancheria would cover costs associated with MCSD's legal counsel review of the draft MOU. At the Humboldt Bay board meeting on June 9th, 2022, their board of directors reviewed the draft MOU between Humboldt Bay and MCSD, which is included as attachment 1. District staff reviewed the draft MOU along with legal counsel Jeff Slack from Jansen Malloy. The MOU with track changes of staff and Mr. Slack's comments is included as attachment 2. As shown in the edits, comments are mainly related to ensuring that the project is cost neutral to MCSD. So I also handed out a new handout that should have been in front of your chairs. We provided, section 4 was the main area where we had edits on how we were going to recoup costs for cooperating on the feasibility study. We sent that to Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District. Ryan Plotz, their legal counsel, reviewed it, marked it up, and this is the language that he proposed as edits to what's included as attachment 2. So with that, staff recommends that the board review the information provided, discuss, take public comment, and consider the approval of the memorandum of understanding with Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District to cooperate in the preparation of a preliminary feasibility study for the extension of a Humboldt Bay water main from the MCSD system to the Trinidad Rancheria. And General Manager John Friedenbach is here, and legal counsel there, Humboldt Bay's legal counsel Ryan Plotz, is also on Zoom.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. I don't have anything to add, particularly to Pat's staff report. Here to answer questions. As Pat mentioned, our legal counsel, district counsel is here, Ryan Plotz. The main point of, it's not really contention, but I think it's just verbiage and understanding is this section 4. Our district understands that MCSD wants to be cost neutral. We support that, but at the same time, our district does not want to open up a blank checkbook to MCSD to incur costs that we haven't reviewed or had some input on. And so the compromise language that our attorney has proposed is that staff would meet and confer when MCSD feels that they're going to incur expenses related to this project, and then we would decide, if those are reasonable, yeah, we need them for the project. Who's going to pay? It's going to be, Humboldt Bay is going to pay, or McKinneyville's not going to do the work. So, I mean, that's kind of how I see this going. So, I don't know if, Ryan, if you want to add anything in there.
No, I think that's generally correct. I just point out, we were very clear with our board and in this MOU that it not be binding and that it merely expressed the party's desire to cooperate towards studying the feasibility. And so in section 2, it states that the party shall not have any legal obligation under this MOU, including to make any investment or to pay any consideration or compensation. And then section 4 is, expressly no commitment to expend funds. And so the highlighted language or the compromise language that I provided John today was just intended to have a process in place for the parties to consider, one, whether to, make any expenditures of goods or services, whether they be engineering, consulting, or otherwise. And 2, to discuss, how and by whom the expense is going to be paid. And of course, if there's no agreement as to whether to expend the funds or as to who's going to pay for the expenditure, neither party would be under any legal obligation to move forward with that purchase. And so it really is just intended to kind of express the party's willingness to cooperate, but without any binding effect. Thanks.
Thank you. Greg? This
Yeah,
question?
my question's for our GM. So we had, because of our relationship with Mitchell Brisso and that, I'm sure that at this point now, Russ is probably would have to conflict out on this. So have we had council review the revisions that were made to the MOU?
Yeah, so Russ is conflicted out. We signed a letter of whatever you call it, notification that yes, he was conflicted in this, and that we agreed, the board agreed, that Mitchell would work on behalf of Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District on this. So yes, we retained Jeff Slack from Jansen Malloy.
Okay, so Jeff was reviewing this as our general counsel.
Correct.
Okay.
Dennis?
So, so that I got this clear, we are considering the yellow marked language, and that is in substitution for the purple, right? Lined out, is that purple? Whatever color is that?
Yeah, so he took the language in section 4 that's in your attachment 2, and he marked that up. So he struck the very first sentence that's crossed out in blue on the one that you have in front of you, as well as all the purple stuff. Left the blue stuff the same, and then added the yellow.
Yeah, okay, so I see that first one.
Yeah.
So I'll just ask a question for general understanding. Could there be, or might there be, as this proceeds on, expenses that you might determine were reasonable for a benefit to the district? And that is a possibility. And that's one. And 2, if there is an occurrences that arise that would be detrimental to our, or cause harm to our bottom line, or this language doesn't, as I read it, doesn't preclude us from saying, no, hold, let's go back to the table and talk about it.
Right, and I think actually Ryan did a better job of getting to the gist of what Jeff and I were trying to put in our language. Yeah, there is a possibility that we would want to incur, I can't really see why, but there would be some expenses that we would incur that we talk to Humboldt Bay, and Humboldt Bay says, no, we don't want to pay for that. And we could still make the decision, well, we still want to move forward with that, and so we will incur those costs. But then that would be a decision that I likely would make.
So I would having read this, or just, and this is no reference to reality, this is just a conceptual thought. If we found a place where the line needed to be upgraded, made larger, whatever, and that might be a cost incurred to us that generally we wouldn't necessarily want, but by perhaps getting a share of cost in that done, maybe it makes us viable for another project that we're thinking might be wanting to come in another part of our service area that we would have to do that anyway. So that's what I was thinking, that there could be the possibility that could be a benefit, a mutual benefit, that's all.
Yeah, and something like that I would bring back to the board and get your sign off.
Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Greg, got a question?
Yeah, so thanks, Dennis, because that's burned another question that I had, and that's related to, so this MOU would be in effect for the whole project, or just the it's not really planning phase, but just the exploratory phase? Or
Right, it's written for the feasibility
it's just for the
study.
feasibility study, right? So anything else that might come along as far as you're concerned, that we would enter into another agreement, because I too, Dennis, feel that there's probably going to be some situations to where there's going to be upgrades that are made to the system, to our system, to be able to convey the water north, that are going to benefit us as much as they are Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District, and at that point in time, I could imagine that we'll probably have to negotiate how we're going to cost share in that, because I doubt very much that we're going to be able to push water. We're not going to be able to get water north without pushing it, and if we push it north through our system, that's going to benefit us also.
Right. I guess I could see, so the vast majority of this is going to be, for paying an engineering firm or whatever to look at the environmental and the design. And we are not going to write a contract with any engineering firm.
Right.
That'll be Humboldt Bay. So it'll mainly be our staff time costs associated with this. And, it's not going to take too much staff time either. I could see us wanting to add something to the feasibility study, like, Humboldt Bay says, no, we're going to go up, whatever, Clam Beach. And we say, well, we'd really like you to look at Dow's Prairie. And then we would, I think, have to have a discussion on, okay, well, who's paying for the analysis of going up Dow's Prairie? Something like that I would bring back to the board and ask if you.
And just to throw it out, and John has been involved in this for a long time, our studies that we did for our excess water, one of the concepts that as a joint group of the Munis and Humboldt Bay was that we really would like to see the services expanded in the area. We see it as an environmental benefit as well to get this available, very good water, plentiful, to places where perhaps taking the pressure off of these wells would help our riparian environment all over.
And also off of the surface waters up north too.
So anyway, it's open, and since this is just the feasibility part of it, for whatever it's worth, you got my 20% approval on that.
Yeah, not to mention the use it or lose it aspect of the water coming down Ruth, and that's a real big deal. That is a real big deal. We got to figure out, how we can use our water rights effectively going down the board. My question is that it's likely going to be inevitable that we're going to have unremitted expenses, probably more along the lines of staff time than anything else during this study. Is there a way that we can write into the agreement a ceiling, perhaps, for amounts that we wouldn't be recompensed for, granted by our general manager?
Not sure I follow you. The way that my understanding of the agreement now is whatever expenses that MCSD incurs that we confer and agree are reasonable for this project, would get reimbursed to you. So I don't see the need for a CEMA.
Okay, yeah, I'll put it another way. Is there could we put in some sort of a trigger ceiling on the amount that we be reimbursed for, should the general manager approach that figure? Am I being clear?
My intent is to ask for every penny from them, and, you know, I think it will be a stepwise discussion of, okay, you guys staff needs to send us all your GIS data. And I'll go to John and say, okay, it'll probably take us, I don't know, 4 hours to pull that together and send it to you, and I assume John would say yes to that.
Okay.
And then I could see, you know, if they want us to go and grab a bunch of pressures all through our system, that's going to take more staff time. And then I would still go back to John and say, well, you know, that's going to be, days, weeks worth of our time. And, you know, that's fine, we can do it, but it's going to cost you this much. And if John said no, then I'd just say, okay, well, I'm not going to give you pressure data then. You're going to have to get it some other way. So I don't think we would, my intent would be to get them to pay every penny and not really be looking at any.
Well, and
Okay.
hopefully, it's my understanding as well, hopefully, that it's not gonna cost us, not gonna cost you either, so somebody's gonna pay the bill.
Yeah, absolutely. My hope is that it's revenue neutral throughout this phase right here.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, I guess it's just a fiscal watchdog in me coming out. Thanks, John.
Yeah, so I guess maybe to give you some assurance that from at least my perspective, you want to be sure that your accounting system can capture all the payroll time.
Yeah.
And that can bill that to us. And I'm sure your system is sophisticated enough to do that. We do that. We have a separate, Humboldt Bay has a separate MOU with the Trinidad Rancheria, and that's our agreement too, is we capture our staff time, monetize that, and then send them an invoice. So ultimately, as Dennis alluded to, it's the Rancheria that's going to pay, and they're getting grant funding. So in the end, you may not pay 100% of the bill, but 100% of the bill is going to get paid.
Right.
Yeah.
John, just from my understanding, just protocol-wise, it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that we all are dealing with you, and you are dealing with them.
That's correct.
Okay, and so that's good. Yeah, that's my understanding.
And so that's, thank you.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So the intent is that the Heights will cover, the Rancheria will cover 100% of Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District's expenses.
That's the common practice of our district when anybody comes and asks for a mainline extension.
Okay.
So the process is I'll call them the applicant, proposes a project, our board looks at the project, and our staff looks at the project. Yeah, it's feasible to extend up there. Okay, we enter into an agreement, mainline extension agreement is what it's called. You're responsible for design. We get approval of your design, has to meet AWWA standards, and you hire the engineer. We have to approve who the engineering firm is. We get review during construction, and then once the project's finalized, we get final inspection authority, and upon completion and satisfaction to our district, then we take over ownership of the extension, and from that point forward, we maintain that.
Cool.
Looks like
a great project.
Yeah, I think it's the most responsible thing that people up north could do is having the resiliency of a water source that's as secure as Humboldt Bay Municipal Water District is, and to at some point hopefully that the people up north will take the pressure off the groundwater that they're using now, and or the surface water that they're using now, and come on board.
So that was my observation too, is that this will actually, even though the city of Trinidad isn't going to participate, if this gets done, it will still benefit them because they won't be providing water to the casino, and so they'll have more water. So even though they're not participating, they're gonna get a benefit.
If not this time, in the
Potentially.
future, they will.
Potentially.
Well, I know they will, but in the meantime,
You're enough.
I'll buy the futures on that one, brother.
okay, well, I think we need to have an
Thank you, John.
action.
I'll move. I'll make a motion.
Second.
But I don't want to do first staff recommendation. I wanted to add a little bit of something to it. So I
Okay.
want to do staff recommendation, but also I want to authorize the board president to sign the MOU.
Seconder will second that as well.
Was that clear enough for you?
Director Bender?
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson? Yes. Director Mayo?
Yes.
Director Orsini?
Yes.
President Couch?
Yes.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Have a good meeting.
Thanks, Ryan.
Okay, we're skipping E2, going to E3, discuss and consider approval of edits to the district's policy for the naming and dedication of district facilities. And that's Pat again.
It's me again. The district has a policy for the naming and dedication of district's facilities. The intent of the policy is to provide guidance and criteria for the naming of new or existing district facilities. The policy was actually updated just as the general managers were changing to include the consideration and guidance on the use of tribal names. These changes were never brought to the board for approval. The edits contained in attachment 1 help to reflect the tribal history of the area and are important items to address prior to the consideration and use of tribal names. So staff recommends that the board review the proposed edits, discuss, take public comment, and consider the approval of the edits to the district's policy for the naming and dedication of district's facilities.
Subject to board's discussion and public comment, I move the item.
I'll second that.
Anyone have any discussion? Seeing no discussion, what's?
Director Bender?
Aye.
Director Clark Peterson? Yes. Director Mayo?
Yes.
Director Orsini?
Yes.
And President Couch?
Yes. Item E4 is discuss and consider approval of the LDA contract for architectural services for the office remodel project. Pat again.
Me again. The district has been considering an office remodel for the last several years. The main driver behind the office remodel is that the existing operations trailer was used when it was purchased back in the 70s and has exceeded its expected life by a few decades already. Given its age, there is a good chance the trailer would not survive a significant earthquake event or potentially even a significant winter storm. These are not the occasions when it would be desirable to have our operations office out of commission. District staff has also exceeded the capacity of the existing front office and the trailer. Staff are already sharing offices and there is no room for growth. We would like to hire additional front office staff and will need additional parks and recreation staff to help manage the community forest, and would like to hire additional operations staff to construct some of the replacement water and sewer main lines that are budgeted in the CIP. In order to advance the office remodel project and obtain the necessary architectural and engineering services to prepare the new office design and construction bid documents, the district released a request for qualifications on March 3rd, 2022. The statements of qualifications in response to the RFQ were due back on June 3rd, 2022. The district received 3 SOQs from LDA, GHD, and Trilogy. The district review committee, consisting of Parks and Rec Director Frisbee, Operations Director Henry, Board Member Orsini, and GM Kaspari, who reviewed all 3 SOQs and ranked them as detailed on the following table. As the table shows, LDA was the #1 ranked at 91 points. GHD was second at 89.75, and Trilogy was third at 59.5. As shown on the table, LDA was ranked as the highest architectural firm. Staff then requested a scope and fee from LDA. LDA submitted a draft scope and fee on June 28, 2022 for $450,000. Staff reviewed the scope and fee and eliminated scope elements and were able to negotiate the fee down to $324,975, as detailed in the July 15, 2022 letter attached to the professional services agreement, which is included as attachment 1. It should be noted that the 2022-23 fiscal year budget had $150,000 budgeted for this line item. If the board approves the LDA contract, staff will need to come back to the board with a budget modification for this line item. The additional $207,472.50 will likely come from the $600,000 line item for the purchase of the property located immediately south of the existing office site. The district budgets for the purchase of this property every year just in case it comes up for sale. There is no indication that it will come up for sale this fiscal year. It should be further noted that staff has looked at several alternatives to the proposed design, bid, build approach, which this step would initiate. Staff looked at replacing the existing trailer with a new modular building, and that is anticipated to cost $60,000 and would not address any of the issues associated with the existing building. Staff had meetings with Jim Furtado and Pacific Builders to see if there was a design build alternative. However, it is felt that there may be issues with public contract code using this approach. Staff also considered performing the construction ourselves, but it was felt that there was not enough capacity to do the construction and still be able to perform all the work necessary for the day-to-day operations of the district. So staff recommends that the board review the information, discuss, take public comment, and consider the approval of the contract with LDA designers and architects for the office remodel project in the amount of $324,975 with a 10% contingency for a total not to exceed price of $357,472.50, and direct staff to bring a budget modification for this line item back to the board at the September board meeting.
All right. Greg?
So, excuse me for forgetting, looking at the schedule for this, but this design phase is going to go through fiscal years, isn't it? So,
Now, the schedule has them finishing up the design next,
June?
yeah.
Okay, so we will need the budget modification then.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't think of it right now, so it might come to me.
Dennis has got something. So,
So I don't need the in baseball details, but I'm just want to be sure that you guys have got ciphered out how you're going to juggle things during construction. You're going to double up your office spaces, et cetera, or?
Yeah, we're hoping that we can move the trailer, disconnect the utilities, move the trailer to further to the south, and those guys can still work in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And then we'd probably have staff working in the office, those who can work from home. We're gonna still need to have an area to collect bills, so there will be people up in that front part,
Okay.
but yes.
Yeah,
Short answer
I
is
was sure you were. I just wanted to touch bases with you. So notwithstanding more board comment or public comment, I would move to approve the contract and direct staff to bring budget modification for this line item back to the board at the September board meeting.
Can I request a friendly modification
Absolutely.
to authorize the general manager to execute the PSA?
Yeah.
I remember what I was thinking.
Okay.
So, but did you second this
Oh,
before you?
I'll second it,
Okay.
and then I had, so, and it escapes me right now with the, but anyway, we could pass a resolution of there's a resolution that we could pass, and I would recommend that the staff does that, because we could encapsulate or capture all of the the expenditures for this over the time that we're doing this. If we which I would guess that we're going to want to finance the expenditures for this, and we could actually wrap these expenses that we're doing now. And I can't remember exactly. It's a resolution of, and Rick would be able to tell you what the name of Rick Brandis would be able to tell you what the name of that resolution is. But if you pass that resolution, it authorizes you to then keep track of all the expenditures, and you'd be able to then finance the whole thing. And I think you might still be, and I'm not 100% sure whether that is necessary in this situation or not, but it might be something to look into.
Okay, we'll definitely look into it. And the intent was likely to finance the construction of the office, so yeah. Okay, I'll look into that and bring that back to
And that's, that might at some point bring that back and ask the board if we want to wrap the design in, because it's a pretty big chunk of money. I think by the time we're done and the dust clears, it's probably going to be pretty close to, at least $400,000 we're going to probably spend on design. And at this point, this is completely off subject with this agenda item, but you're thinking that we'll be able to, that we won't need any other flex space, that we'll be able to use the move the trailer. And
yeah, we've talked about, potentially using the teen center too. I think it will, that's part of this contract too, is talking to the architect about how to phase things. So yeah.
And are you going to keep Chris on for, is he going to be helping with them in the transition, or?
No,
Okay.
he's not.
Enough said. Oh, and just for historical sake, and James remembers this. I think James remembers this. But anyway, the operations office used to be the senior center, and it was over here next to the A-frame, which was the Chamber of Commerce. And when the seniors agreed that they would be able to use the room that they use now, they basically gave us I think they gave it to us, or maybe, who knows, maybe we paid for it. I don't remember. I was a ditch digger at that point in time. But they moved the trailer over. Talking about the condition of the trailer got moved. It got split in half because it's a double wide, and it got split in half and it got moved over there. And that all happened on a Friday. And when we came back in on Monday, there's probably a dumpster load of the trailer had fallen off the trailer, and we had to clean it up before we could even start fixing it to put it back together. Oh, you came after we fixed it up. Yeah, that's how bad. That's the kind of condition that trailer was in when it got set in place. Of course, there's probably as many new 2x4s in it and plywood as there is old stuff in it.
E2,
It's postponed
it's
because
postponed because Mary Burke was going to do it, and she is sick with a disease that everybody's getting these days. That rascally virus. Okay, well, I think we have a motion and a second, right? Let's do the vote. I think we're.
Director Bender?
Yes.
Director Clark Peterson? Yes. Director Mayo?
Yes.
Director Orsini?
Yes.
And President Couch?
Yes. All right, item E5, consider topics for joint McKinleyville Municipal Advisory Committee and MCSD board meeting in October.
Me
And
again.
again,
As the board is aware, MCSD's board policy manual and the McKinleyville Municipal Advisory Committee's for the Micmac bylaws state that the entities will conduct an annual joint board meeting to discuss topics of interest to both. The joint meeting is tentatively scheduled for October of this year. At the MCSD's board retreat this year, the board directed staff to inform the Micmac board president that they would prefer that the Micmac come up with a list of potential topics that the MCSD board could review and comment on. The list of topics that were developed by the Micmac board include: 1, McKinleyville's many road issues, including disconnection and road maintenance; 2, the differing roles, nature, and structure of MCSD and Micmac boards; 3, the possibly expanding MCSD authority; 4, updates on MCSD projects, the community forest, boat ramp, etc.; 5, utilities capacity issues related to the town center and future housing development; and 6, bringing the McKinleyville voice to the county issues such as the county's climate action plan and other countywide planning or decisions. So staff recommends that the board of directors consider the potential meeting topics put forth by the Micmac board, take public comment, and provide direction to staff on which topics to report back to the Micmac that are of interest to the MCSD board.
Have any comments from the board?
I don't see why we can't discuss all of them.
Yeah, I think it's a good list myself.
Yeah, other than the fact that it will probably take more than one meeting to get through all of them. Unless we put time limits on them.
More than one? You've been to a few of them meetings, haven't you?
Which ones? For the Micmac
I'm
meeting?
just being a smart.
I know. So, can I continue?
Sure.
So, my cynical self, the bullet point number 1, that, I don't see that as a McKinleyville Community Services District issue of discussion. That seems more to me like Public Works. Unless somebody can sort of explain to me or illuminate the how the issues with roads and disconnections and road maintenance have anything to do with the McKinleyville Community Services District.
You know, Greg, I appreciate you bringing that up. One of the things that's hard in growing pains is people understanding where their lane is. You know, on this board, when we get here, we have to learn what our lane is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know. And so I think that's hard. That's a hard thing sometimes if people have perceived ideas or what they're going to do and not do, and what the task is that, you know, that they've been assigned to or drafted into, what have you. And so I agree. In this kind of dialogue, for me, that's one of the most important goals of this, is to help condense the charges and what you're charged to do and what you can do. Kind of condense it down so people understand better what they do and don't do. You know, and we all want to expand our, you know, our reach and our output and what we do, and everybody's looking to be good members of the communities. But if you got a job that does X and you start talking about the job that the supervisor is supposed to do, maybe run for supervisor. You see, you know, so you can do that job. And I didn't mean that, I don't mean that to be backhanded or cutting or anything. I'm just saying, learning what our lanes are and staying in our lanes is very important. And that's all I'll say about it. Yeah. And so I appreciate you bringing that up. I wouldn't care to spend any time at the Micmac talking about.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought, you know, even though it's not really in our lane, if I thought that us having discussions about that could spur Public Works into actually taking action on it, of it, or that it might have some
Right.
impact.
Yeah, that was my thought as well.
Well, no, I understand.
I mean, half of the discussion is the Micmac, and that is within their purview because they're at least 5th district influenced.
Well, part of the thing is we have a nexus to roads because our infrastructures are in the roads, and so when we do those kinds of things and or a subdivision gets made, we get to weigh in for that, or we want, you know, this is falling apart and it's hurting our, like happened at School Road when they did the thing down at School Road and they took it down so much that it destroyed our infrastructure. So that was important for us to be involved in that planning a year and a half before it happened. So there are places. I wasn't trying to.
I just, but again, I think that I don't know that us talking, I think that there's, so I think that our time with, let me see if I can rephrase this, because I appreciate your interest in that. But I think that time is going to be a premium, our time together is going to be a premium. And I think that our discussion should be limited to those things that have the most potential for us to have an impact on. You know, I think it's important for us during that meeting when we meet with them that we get the most bang for our buck. And I'm skeptical.
I don't want us to drift off into the 3-parameter wetland discussion as an example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
But I do agree that the roles, I think that it might not be a bad idea for us to have a quick 15-minute discussion or half-hour discussion or something, maybe 15-minute discussion on the roles so that we understand what our boards.
And we're going to delegate, that charge to you, Pat. No, just you.
Well, as I see it, the utilities capacity issues would be the most relevant thing for our board to address.
Say again, I didn't catch the first part.
The capacity
Yeah.
discussion,
Utility
that'd be the
capacity,
most
yeah.
most appropriate for us.
I agree that would help. I think that discussion might help, but by the time we get, when is that meeting?
Well,
It's in
that'd be
October?
number one for me.
Yeah, the only issue with that is the town center ordinance we'll probably have already had action as the Micmac on the town center ordinance. So it might be moot by then, but I think that it would be good for the Micmac to understand. But that's another one that.
Well, future housing development would still be out.
Yeah, I think so. But that's another one I think that we definitely need to have some time constraints on it, because that could be a 4 or 5 hour discussion.
Well, I didn't mean to open the can of worms on it,
Yeah, no, I think we're just having a discussion. I think that.
as long as you do what I want, it'll all be okay.
And another one of my pet peeves is there's a few people on the Micmac that constantly want to know what's going on at MCSD. And my recommendation to them is attend our board meetings and you'll find out everything that's going on.
Yeah.
They could even attend on Zoom.
Yeah, so.
From the comfort of their
I don't know
homes.
that, you know.
And how does that meeting usually work? Is it, who's leading it? And who keeps time if we have time limits for topics?
That's good. How's that? Yeah, those are some good questions. How's that's going to be administered? Is our chair going to be the one who runs the meeting?
Moderating.
Yeah, I guess I was assuming, and this is my assumption, that they would co-chair the meeting.
Co-chair the meeting.
Yeah.
And it's gonna have to be run like a meeting.
Yeah, well, that's.
That might be tough because sometimes
Run like
they get
meetings.
those meetings get kind of
A little loose.
Although Elaine asked a very cogent and timely question, and appropriate for this deal. All the yahooing out of the, isn't gonna work for us in a meeting have any productivity.
Yeah, they definitely, the meetings are, because of the chair's decision on how those meetings are run, they have the potential to be a little bit less formal than ours are.
Well, I think if it's a joint meeting, that because we have legal requirements as an elected board, we would have to do it using kind of our format as opposed to their more loose.
So all I'm
Right,
saying-
But the discussions will
Right,
probably
yeah,
get.
but also,
They run
yeah, they
by
use,
the
they use
same Brown
Rosenberg's
Act.
rules of
Okay.
order that we do,
Yeah.
so they should be run.
No,
pretty
they
much the
run
same.
Rosenberg's,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
and do we run Rosenberg
Yes,
or
yeah.
Roberts?
Rosenberg's.
Rosenberg's, okay, I'd forgotten.
Anyway, it's just that the boss here is gonna have to give a little,
Have his gavel,
yeah,
Yeah.
hair trigger.
Well, it'll be an interesting meeting.
It could be very productive, and that's the thing, is if you keep the structure, and stay, it could be very productive.
Yeah.
But we've all been to some of those meetings that have been productive at the McMack, and others that have just been a runaway freight train.
Yeah. And sort of get back,
Yeah, so
To
I've
give-
heard that all of the items, and I've heard item 2 and 5. So I am gonna try to wrangle you guys back in.
yeah. I also like
They're harder to bring together than we are.
the general sort of feel of the last bullet point, which is bring the McKinleyville voice to the county issues. I don't know if we need to focus necessarily on the climate action plan, but I think that that we definitely, I think that it would be great for us to sit down and be able to spitball with the McMack on how we provide some sort of unified front when it comes to issues that are within the county's purview. I think if we spent the vast majority of this joint meeting talking about how we coordinate that would probably be further ahead than talking about anything specifically, and that wasn't my idea, just to let you guys think that I'm trying to.
That could basically be anything from law enforcement to the CAP to
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, I
homelessness,
think,
mental health.
right, absolutely, I think it could be about.
So there's your
just-
10-hour discussion
Just,
right there.
yeah, just the way we, the way we approach things as two separate entities that sort of have the same goals.
Okay, as a board, is our job right now to narrow down these 6 items down to just a couple? Or are we going to rank them, or what? Chair?
Well, you were whittling away at a couple of them there, Greg, weren't you?
Well, I'm just giving my opinions,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I agree with, like, number 1 about the road, I hadn't thought of that, but that is outside of our purvey of powers.
Except for those places.
Until they screw up
Yeah.
the pipe.
Those are reasonable to us and we
Right.
understand them.
Yeah,
But they're talking about like road maintenance
Oh, yeah.
and that kind of stuff, and that's,
More sidewalks, we're gonna have, which I had at the grocery store, and we've had at that meeting, blah, 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 about how come, or so, how embarrassing it is to have my family come and don't have a sidewalk to push my baby cart down. Oh, no. There's a lot of places in McKinleyville that don't have sidewalks, and that ain't our doing. We ain't got a damn thing to do with that. anyway.
Okay, let's see. Did we have a motion on this yet?
Nope.
So maybe Dave, you can get practice, you get practice for running that meeting by,
Yeah.
you just tell us what the hell we're gonna do here.
Okay, well, let's scrap number one.
I like it.
Can I chime in on number 3?
Sure.
I guess I read that to gear towards talking about incorporation.
Mhm.
Supervisor Madrone has said he wants to put together an incorporation meeting, quote unquote, and pull together costs and stuff and hold a whole separate meeting on that.
That's his prerogative.
Yeah, and so, that might be happening regardless.
Well,
So if we do that, then should we scrap number 3?
So I guess I am saying yes,
Favor of-
scrap number 3
okay.
since it's already going to be discussed.
and I'm not likely to go to that meeting about incorporation anyway.
Well, that leaves us 2, 4, 5, and 6. Do we need to rate them, or can we just leave them as?
We don't need to rank them, I don't think. I assume if we come back with specific topics, they're all going to end up on the agenda.
Well, then, so I guess the next step in the process is we inform McMack that this is what we're willing to discuss.
Yeah.
Do we really want to go over, give them an update of the projects that we're doing right now? Is that something that we want to do during that meeting?
I mean, it's all right in the board packets anyway.
Yeah, I could give them a 5-minute update on all of our projects. I could tell them to come to the board meeting. We could do a separate, it has been brought up at the MCMAC meetings that, maybe one of the agenda items that we want to routinely have is an update from MCSD on projects.
And like you've heard me say at the meetings, if there's anybody because it's only one person that's been asking for this. And if he's that interested in what's going on at our board meetings, or what's going on with our business, all you'd have to do is join the meeting or review the board packet. I mean, it's not like,
And I don't
it's not
think
like
there's
we're
any,
operating in the,
I don't think there's anything at all wrong with you doing 5 minutes. Not a discussion item, but just an information item. Boom, 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 boom. I think that would be appropriate.
I wouldn't, and I'm fine with doing that as
I
well.
mean, but I mean, I'm only one person sitting here, so it's up to y'all.
so I'd move that we do 2, 4, 5, and 6 as recommendations to go back to the board, the MAC as our agenda for the joint meeting. But with direction that there's time constraints on each agenda item.
Yeah. That'd be good.
So
How
that-
long are we gonna
so-
pencil out for the meeting, Pat, do you reckon?
The meetings go from 6 until 8:30.
Your meetings do?
Yeah.
And in this context, do you think that's enough time for that? I mean, we sometimes go longer in our meetings, so I could see reasonable to go a little longer, but I'm just.
Yeah, but our meetings start at 7 too.
Well, you're right about that, yeah. Never mind, I'm fine with what you said. I think I would want to put time constraints on, otherwise.
Go. Midnight. Could not be done.
Yeah, because because the potential for the meeting to run away without there being a really strong direction from the chairs, the meetings do tend to get away from the chair.
Sometimes in here too. Can I put forth a motion?
Can I do one more comment before you do, if you don't mind?
I was in the middle of making, but
You guys go out and arm wrestle and then come back and let us know.
No, I'm not,
He can amend.
I'm not that invested.
Why
in
don't you
it.
finish your motion and then he can amend your motion?
Okay. I think, did you get everything? I think that's all I had to do. I will accept any friendly amendments from Scott. Do you have any friendly amendments?
My friendly amendment would be to propose that we discuss items 2, 4, 5, and 6 with the caveat that they be placed on time.
That's what that's the motion I made.
Oh, okay. You just said it differently.
Yeah, I did. But you can second it if you want.
Okay, I'll second it.
And Dennis has a comment before we move on.
I just had a question. Do you think it would be a good idea for that, for you and Dave and the chairman of the McMac to get together and discuss the parameters well ahead of time?
Yeah, so I was intending to go back to Bonnie Oliver, the current McMac president, and say what topics you guys wanted to cover, and I was going to volunteer to put together an agenda and then run it by her and Dave.
Yeah, and that would we would get a good buy-in for timeframe.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think it might, but
Structure.
if I'm picking up what Dennis is laying down, I think that Dennis also would like a meeting beforehand with the two chairs.
Yeah.
To kind of let Chairman Oliver know that we'd like to handle the meeting with a certain decorum.
The parameters and the agenda, and you wanted to.
Is that kind of what
Yeah,
you're?
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Shall we vote?
Okay. Director Bender?
Yes?
Director Clark Peterson?
Yes.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
Director Orsini?
Yes.
And President Couch?
Yes. All right. Item E6, consider adoption of Resolution 2022-24, ratifying purchase and sale agreement to acquire real property and provide direction to the general manager. Pat, again.
I'm going to have James do this one.
James going to do this?
No, I can do it. As the board is aware, we have been negotiating the purchase of approximately 6.5 acres adjacent to the district's Cochrane tank site to construct a new 4.5 million gallon water storage tank funded by a hazard mitigation grant. The purchase and sale agreement, see attachment 1, was written by Russ Gans, district legal counsel. After several iterations with the current property owners, American Hospital Management, the final PSA was signed by both parties on June 6, 2022, and the site is now in escrow. There are several requirements in the PSA that the district needs to perform, including site inspections and final site surveys. Resolution 2022-24, see attachment 2, ratifies the PSA and directs the general manager to perform these activities. Upon the close of escrow, the grant deed for the property will be recorded with the county. The district's existing Cochrane tank parcels will be combined with the new parcel, and a record of survey detailing the new parcels will be recorded with the county surveyor. A quit claim deed was also negotiated with Mark Reinierson, who granted the district the Hewitt Ranch property several years ago. Part of the grant deed for acquiring the Hewitt Ranch property included the restrictions on access to the property from the west property line. As a part of this purchase agreement, Mr. Reinierson has also agreed to give the district a 15-foot wide pedestrian easement to the Hewitt Ranch property from the new parcel. Upon the close of escrow, Mr. Reinierson will sign the quit claim deed, and this will also be recorded with the county. Purchase price for the property is $253,511, 75% of which will be covered by the Cal OES hazard mitigation grant for this project. Total cost to the district for the property purchase will be $63,377.75. The earliest date for escrow to close is October 4th, 2022. So staff recommends that the Board of Directors consider adoption of Resolution 2022-24, ratifying the purchase and sales agreement to acquire the real property for the construction of the 4.5 million gallon water tank, take public comment, and provide direction to the general manager to perform the actions reasonably necessary to meet the purpose and intent of the purchase agreement.
Okay, bringing it back to the board. the public. Any comments? I'll make a motion.
I'll move the item.
No second.
Director Bender?
Yes.
Director Clark Peterson?
Yes.
Director Mayo?
Yes.
Director Orsini?
Yes.
President Couch?
Yes.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So Russ wrote the PSA? I thought that they had conflicted out on this.
Not for this one. Well, so they had, when we went to potentially eminent domain, they,
Oh, that's right, it was just for the eminent domain
Yeah.
part, that's right, okay. But as far as the regular sale part, yeah,
yeah.
that's right, never mind, thank you for that clarification. I'd forgotten that it was two separate things.
All right, E7 is review and discuss annual board self-evaluation. April gets to present.
So per the Board of Directors Policy Manual, Rule 11, the board is committed to its own performance as a board in order to identify the board's strengths and areas in which it may improve the board's functioning. The goals of the self-evaluation are to clarify roles, to enhance harmony and to understanding among board members, and to improve the efficiency and effectiveness of board meetings. The ultimate goal is to improve MCSD policies for the benefit of the McKinleyville community and employees of the district. Members of the board completed the approved self-evaluation questionnaire consisting of several open-ended questions. The results have been compiled for the number of board members that completed the form, which all board members did complete the form. So staff recommends that the board review the information presented, open for public comment, and discuss the results of the 2022 board self-evaluation.
Any comments from directors? Okay, seeing none, we don't have to take any action on this. So we will move to E8, consider
So
the,
we're
what?
not gonna have any discussion on this?
Well, no one said anything. Do you want to discuss? I won't move on if you, nobody's jumping in and saying anything.
Okay.
I kept looking back and forth, and nobody was indicating interest. Anyway, consider regular board meeting dates, times, and location for the 2023 calendar year, April again.
Thank you. Both the MCSD board rules and regulations under Regulation 61, Board Meeting Rule 61.1, regular meetings, and the Board of Directors Policy Manual under Part 5, Board Meeting Procedures, Rule 5-1, regular meetings, address this topic. Regular meetings of the Board of Directors shall be held on the first Wednesday of each calendar month at 7 p.m. at either Azalea Hall or the district office as specified by the agenda. Additionally, the public may be able to attend regular board meetings by teleconference via Zoom and telephone with the stated information. The date, time, and place of the regular meetings shall be reconsidered annually. Two board meetings land on precarious dates. The January board meeting will be just after the holidays on January 4th, 2023. The July meeting date falls the day after an observed federal holiday. There are two options that may be considered: either move the meeting to the following Wednesday or cancel the meeting and consolidate with the next regular meeting. Historically, when this has happened, the January board meeting has been moved to the second Wednesday of the month, and the July meeting is often canceled and consolidated with the August meeting, since both have a record of being shorter in length, and annual items appearing in July are able to be moved to August while still meeting time requirements. Staff recommends that the board review and discuss the proposed 2023 schedule for McKinleyville Community Service District regular board meetings held on the first Wednesday of each month for the 2023 calendar year. Outside of the board meeting, directors requested to review the attachment and provide any conflicting dates to the board secretary, either in person or in an email. This item will be scheduled again for the October 5th, 2022 board meeting, at which time the board members can make a final decision.
Thank you. I see Greg.
Yeah, so my question was, so I don't see January 4th as being, as far as that being the date for the board meeting, being an issue. Now, July 5th, there could be an argument that might be a difficulty. But now saying that about the January 4th meeting, my question is getting the board packet out.
There's a lot of holiday time, and so
Yeah, because
staff time being able to get that out.
Christmas is on Sunday, so I would imagine that that you guys would celebrate
Monday
it
is
on
off.
Monday.
Mhm.
So that would give you
And then
and
also with the first.
so you'd end up with only like 4.5 days to get the board packet out. So if
Friday, we get a half day,
yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
So it's
3.5 days.
three and a half days.
Friday would be the half,
Friday's a
Friday
half
would be the
day.
half days, it'd be 3.5
Yeah, so
days.
3.5 days to get the
Yeah.
board packet out, unless you
Correct.
got the board packet out the week before that. So I could see that being difficult, but as far as the January 4th date goes, I don't see that as an issue, but I would defer to staff related to your capacity to be able to get the board packet out with only having 3.5 days in that week. And I do see maybe that there would be some difficulty with July 5th, being it's the day after the 4th, but people taking a long weekend or something, or taking that week off. But my wish would be that we try to keep the board meetings on their regular dates wherever possible, and that we don't skip meetings. And if we're going to skip a meeting, we don't skip more than one meeting.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind moving them to the next.
I really don't like moving them.
You don't like moving them?
No, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay.
But if that's what the board, my intent, my wish would be that we don't move the board meetings, because my schedule revolves around us having the first Wednesday of every month being our board meetings.
Okay, anyone else? We need any more direction? We good?
Yeah, we'll come back in October.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, I would defer to the staff on the January 4th one.
So that brings us to reports and active committee reports. And first on that list is Parks and Recreation Committee. Scott or?
I have nothing to add to Director Frisbee's report.
Area Fund, any? No. Redwood Region Economic Development Commission.
Okay, that'd be me. We did meet on July 25th, and the vast majority of the time spent was on the program with Allie Jones, who's a contractor for the County of Humboldt, on the overview of the development of the Humboldt County Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or CEDS. Basically what that is, it's a the CEDS is a technical document required by the Federal Economic Development Administration, so it's a federal thing. And basically, it's charting our county's economic development course over the next 5 years. I believe the time frame is. They are relying extensively on community and business input. They're putting on a series of road shows. I believe there's 6 road shows, one of which is scheduled to be held in this room on Tuesday, the 30th of August at 5:30. The focus for this is the northeastern part of Humboldt County. However, North County Roadshow segment is scheduled at the Trinidad Town Hall on September 8th from 5:30 until 7. And we as McKinleyville residents are invited to attend both of these or more if you're in the neighborhood. More information on this can be found at the county's website. And other than that, that was the bulk of the meeting. They were going to accept the agency-wide financial reports, but that got tabled until next month.
Thank you. First, you're up again for the McKinleyville Senior Center Board.
Yeah, that would be me. Well, I guess one of the big things is that we went from our $200 and something up to $600 and something, so I better get busy writing grants. But anyway, yeah, we did add a yoga program on Friday mornings to Friday afternoon, and we are getting our SAIL exercise courses back through the Area 1 Agency on Aging. They did source an instructor. It's grant funded through a grant that A1A got through Providence St. Joe's Health System. And so that's moving right along, and we're discussing the possibility of setting up senior lunch pop-up kitchens when the Humboldt Senior Resource Center starts or gets their grant figured out. They do have the grant, and now it's just in the logistics stage, mainly how to legally transport food up here, and then we'll have to work out with Parks and Rec how to use the Hewitt room in order to facilitate this. They're thinking twice per week. So that's another thing we have going down the road.
They could always rent the commercial kitchen at the Teen Center.
Title III kitchens are extremely hard to certify, from what I found. So
Should be certified. It's a pretty high tech. It's certified for county certified, isn't it?
I mean,
I don't know what Title III
Yeah, I don't know either.
certification entails.
their detailed to inspections alone are likely not going to cut it.
Well,
At least
I
it-
should expect it before you know. We're wanting to do big things with that kitchen. If we need to upgrade it somehow or another, we need to know that.
Right. Okay, well, if you want more information on Title III kitchens, you're invited to contact Tasha Romo at Humboldt Senior Resource Center, and she'll be glad to talk to you for hours about it. But anyway, we've got that going down the road, and well, we'll tell you more next month.
Thank you. Next, we have the Audit and Finance. Greg, do you want to lead on that?
Sure. We met twice this month. One time to discuss the Title 115 trust, the irrevocable trust for OPEB and for the UAL, our retirement, our PERS, and then also our other pension, other than pension retirement benefits. And then we had a kickoff meeting with the auditor for the audit. I think that's what it was. Yeah. And anything else, I'll defer to Nicole for anything else on those two meetings, since she did such a great job of running those meetings.
You got it, that was all. You got it.
Oh, she picked that up from James, nothing else, nothing further to say.
Okay, employee negotiations, we did not meet. McKinleyville Municipal Advisory Committee.
Did not meet?
Did not meet. Humboldt Local Agency for Commission. We did meet, and we mainly talked about formation of a new fire district in southern Humboldt.
Did they do the elections?
They didn't have the election results yet, so
Oh, they
it was
don't?
kind of like, I guess enough people didn't respond.
They didn't have enough responses?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was hanging chaff or something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, people have to actually put that on the board agenda somewhere and, do it, and people just didn't do it yet. Environmental Committee, we didn't meet. Ad hoc Community Forest.
We also met twice. We did a site walk with Green Diamond of potential access points for the community forest. So we had a field trip. It was a beautiful day for a field trip, and staff and I went out with staff members from Green Diamond and kicked the weeds and kind of went and looked in, and then we had a meeting today of the committee in the office, and we discussed the outcome of those, or how we want to go back to Green Diamond with our conclusions related to the 3 different access points that we want to discuss with Green Diamond and negotiate. And I'll go through to Pat or to Leslie or to James.
Did you guys have any input, or was that good for?
Yeah, I think you did a good
I
job.
think that covered it.
Okay.
I think that
Legislative and regulatory reports, do you have any?
Well, we signed on to the 222, wrote a letter. I think you all got an update on that. I've been in DC several times and worked really hard on the Headwaters Forestry Bill, which was something that Aqua has worked on, and Special Districts has worked on, and so we finally got it over the finish line, and I'm happy to say that half of that bill is excellent, the other half of it is normal bull. But that's the way.
actually pretty good for legislation.
No, you're right. And now I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this. I'm gonna have to go and pretend like I like it and beg for money for us in this new Build Back Better 2.0 bill, if it happens to make it through. It's not a,
It's not slam dunk at Christmas.
it's, well, we're hoping, but there'll be money there, but I mean, and we'll have to go in and fight for, our parts of it, if it, in fact, there'll be some infrastructure stuff. But I think from the last thing I read, it's only about 30% of it actually goes to water infrastructure and infrastructure type things. I don't have a dollar amount, but 84,000 new IRS agents doesn't make me very positive about the bill. Yeah. So anyway, I'll do my best to do our part in the damn thing if it gets done.
Thank you, Dennis. All right, staff reports. Support services.
Nothing further to add.
She's got it. She's
We
got
have
it.
to separate you and James over there. I'm not sure, maybe
All
Joey
right.
in between you might be a better.
Operations Department?
I do actually. We did find two local maintenance positions. I think I started today. I'll bring them back.
Good.
Awesome.
That was all I have.
Thank you.
Comments.
Leslie, turn.
Nothing further to add.
All right, Pat?
I would like to add, so April did call the elections office today, and still nobody has turned in any paperwork for any of the 3 seats.
I did it at 4:40.
Okay. So I do, I've been reaching out to people and haven't gotten any really firm takers yet, but I do encourage you, if there are candidates that you think would make it for a good board member, to reach out to them. And applications are due on April 12th. August 12th, well. April says August 12th.
Oh, thanks. And since we have the press here, you can put that in the paper that we need candidates. I don't know if that works or not.
We
but-
need one candidate.
We need one additional candidate.
Isn't the period extended if an incumbent is running for reelection?
Yeah, so if an incumbent does not apply by the 12th, even if it's just one person, the rest of the public has 5 more business days. The incumbents do not have any more days, though.
Oh.
So incumbents must do it by the 12th, but the rest of the public, if there is at least one incumbent who has not applied, the rest of the public has until the 17th.
Okay, that's how it works, yeah. Thanks.
Is that a motion? You're in that.
Oh, it was on the internet, then it must be true.
Well, I don't have any president's report. And I'm going to Palm Desert in August. Are you going, Scott? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you going on Monday or?
I'm going on Sunday because I have a class that
You're going on
starts.
Sunday?
So
You're going on Sunday and you're going on.
Are you leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning?
I'm leaving
I
on
am.
Monday at 6. I'm flying solo again.
I'll be there.
I thought you had to be there early on Monday.
No, I'm already going on.
Okay.
All are going back on the same day, though.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah.
Party on that plane.
All right.
I'll meet you at the airport at 6 in the morning.
You ride? Ms. Kay said she'd drive.
No, I'm not gonna make you drive all the way to my house to pick me up when you're right there by the airport. Yeah, you're halfway to the airport. If you want to, sure, come pick me up.
You just live right off a railroad.
I know. Miss Kay can come and pick me up.
Okay,
All right, with you guys.
all right.
Not like McKinleyville is so huge.
I think it's funny because Dennis lives right on the fence line to the airport, but for a car, it's quicker, it's 0.2 of a mile less for me to drive from my house on railroad to the airport terminal than for Dennis to drive all the way there.
I have something that's kind of not related to it. Go ahead.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and just.
Well, we've got board comments, announcements, reports, and agenda item requests. So board member comment from Greg.
No, I don't, it's something that doesn't have anything.
But we're killing time because Dennis, we got to wait for Dennis because he wanted to honor his friend here.
It didn't dawn on me until we started talking about the county and all the shenanigans. Did they ever give us a copy of the plans for the trail to review? The trail that's on Central Avenue. Did we ever get a copy of those plans? Yeah, the trail that they're putting on Central Avenue, up the hill. Yeah.
They sent it out, not for us to review, they sent a set of the plans when they were announcing that they were going to do the road.
Oh. So the design was already done before, so So if any of our infrastructure would have been in the way, we'd be finding out about it after the fact. So there was, yeah, I didn't see anything that was there, but it would have been nice if, when they were, yeah, because that's how the fiasco on School Road happened, was the fact that they completely designed all that, and then when we got the plans, they were gonna cut, yeah, the final grade was gonna be below our water main. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I talked to Randy about that, and I told him if he did traffic, that we'd fix the leak if he did traffic control. Oh. Okay, yeah. Yeah, because that thing's leaking bad, isn't it? Yeah, it's leaked since the day they did it, yeah. And then the other question I had was, what are all the USA marks on Central for? You know?
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, okay. Oh, they're doing the ADA corners? Uh-huh.
Are they gonna do that all the way down every intersection? Really? Wow.
Oh. Okay, I was wondering why, because the county even marked all their, I seen how they were marked, yeah, I seen that they were, yeah, if they were doing it just for the ADA, the approaches, the new ADA approaches, what a waste. Yeah.
Yes, we were waiting for you to come back to talk about your friend from Tuckahoe.
Oh, thank you. Man, I just don't know how much I could say good about Jerry. This guy was just the most awesome guy. He knew more about California water probably than anybody alive. And he was president of Aqua. He was a JPIA president. He was currently on JPIA, and he's past president of help me there. LAFCO, State LAFCO. And 82, vibrant guy. You know, I met Jerry 17 years ago, and we became instant friends because I had a team of mules I was working, and he came up to me and said, you know, I'm from Missouri, and I worked mules all the time as a kid, and we talked about mules for the rest of the day, and we just became fast friends forever. Whenever I needed to know anything, I could call Jerry at midnight, and he would, go through it and stuff. And some of the stuff that I've mentioned to you guys about incorporation and the financial, inabilities, in my opinion, Jerry helped me with that from his LAFCO work. Anyway, God bless him. He went to his storage facility, and 4 hours later, he didn't come home, and his wife called around, had somebody go look for him, and they found him laying in the pavement. It was 107 degrees, and he was laying on the hot pavement. He had either been, somebody had hit him and robbed him, or he had slipped and fallen and hit his head. It was really bad. And he'd laid on that pavement. He had third-degree burns over a lot of his body. And so they took him to the hospital, and they induced coma. And he was coming along. And I talked to his wife, and she said, by God, he's going to make it. And they decided to move him to a burn center to deal with the burn. And he got there, and his insurance didn't work with their insurance. And they started haggling about that, the insurance company and the hospital, instead of calling his wife. They had the money, they could have paid for it themselves. And by God, they messed around about this stuff, and he got sepsis and then burned, and it killed him. It's about as damn bad a deal as I could think of, all the way down the pipe. And this was a beautiful, beautiful human being, and I'm gonna miss him, and thank you for closing the meeting in his honor.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thanks for letting me say
Sad
that.
cautionary tale.
Old people die, but they shouldn't have to die like that.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you, Dennis. I will adjourn the meeting.